What's up, besties and homies? It's your girl Aisha checking in, back with another video. If you're new to the channel, welcome to Strong Friends Check-In Podcast. During a recent interview, Lenny Kravitz disclosed that he's been abstinent for almost a decade. He didn't like the man he was becoming, so he decided to challenge himself spiritually. I was impressed by his candor and moral ambition, so I feel inspired to share my story. My goal is always to help someone. That is my only agenda. I'm a very private person. In fact, this is not my channel. This is God's channel. I go wherever He leads me. Most of my besties know that I was in a legal contract. I thought it was a marriage covenant, but it was a legal contract. Some people say I was too young, but I was raised old school. My grandparents married young. My uncle and aunt married young. My aunt was only 16 years old when they married, and they stayed together. They were married over 60 years. My grandparents were together over 50 years. They were married for 49 years. So I was trying to do the right thing. Marriage is right, but the person was wrong. It's also important to note that my grandfather was the biggest influence in my life. This is important because his presence and involvement in my life helped to shape my perception of men. He set a good example of manhood, so I knew what was possible in a relationship, specifically a marriage. I saw a strong black man leading his family. It's easy for me to love because I have a healthy perception of men in marriage, thanks to my grandfather. Irrespective of what I've been through, I never hold it against all men because I had good examples. I also think this helped me to form a healthy perspective of physical intimacy. I never saw it as a chore. I see it as a bonding agent and vital part of a relationship. And I always thought women should have strong desire to engage in that way. I decided to practice abstinence shortly after my contract ended. I've been abstinent for a little over 10 years. And to give you an idea of how committed I am to this process, I have not had any sexual relations of any kind with anyone in 10 years. And I do not own any toys. I got a kiss last year and a kiss about 6 years prior to that. That's how disciplined I've been. I wanted to get closer to God. I needed to remove distractions so that I could hear from Him. Fornication was a distraction. Now, what I'm about to say will free someone. There is a woman who can identify with what I'm about to say. I do not fit any of the stereotypes that men try to place on me. I have high moral standards and a high sex drive. I have an enormous appetite for sex, so you can imagine how difficult this has been. The question is, how do I reconcile the two? How do I reconcile morality and sexuality? Marriage is only an answer when it works. When it's fractured, you're frustrated. When it's broken, you're frustrated and back to square one. Also, it can be difficult for a man to understand a strange woman like me. He can't put me into the box with women who only do it for male validation. He can't believe my drive is higher than his. In other words, I'm probably not getting enough. He thinks I'm satisfied, but I'm frustrated. How do I embrace and celebrate all of me, unapologetically? This has been a significant quest along my self-love journey. I never cared about other perceptions or false narratives. I only care about my own. I needed to reconcile it for myself, to become the woman that God has called me to be. My goal has always been to love myself and my man righteously. By that I mean purely and truthfully. Abstinence has been extremely difficult for me because the passionate part of my personality feels oppressed. But it's not oppression, it's discomfort. The discomfort of abstinence is healthy. It means I'm evolving spiritually and emotionally. The vicious cycle of fornication is unhealthy. You regress spiritually and emotionally. It's a vicious cycle of temporary relief and frustration. I knew abstinence would be difficult, but I had to be honest with myself. Truth provides clarity and liberation. It makes us free. Fornication is a counterfeit version of marital intimacy. The purpose of sex is to consummate marriage. Doing it outside of a marriage covenant causes confusion because you're engaging in a sacred act inside of a counterfeit union. Some people think condoms prevent soul ties. That's another deception caused by fornication. They don't understand that level of intimacy creates soul ties. It's the total experience. Inviting someone into that sacred place, it's the pinnacle. I'm using code words for YouTube, but follow me. It's a divine experience designed by God and gifted to husband and wife. Casual dating is another deception of fornication. People try to use mutual agreements to absolve them of social responsibility. I'm saying it doesn't matter how you phrase it. Casual dating, friendship, friends with benefits, best friend, my peoples, you are objectifying another human being. Remember when I said my goal is to love righteously? I can't love righteously and objectify people. Men are not objects. They are human beings worthy of God's love, whether they realize it or not. It's my responsibility to check my behavior. I'm accountable for me. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Abstinence is challenging, but it strengthens you. It builds character. It grants spiritual clarity. And it is a powerful tool of self-love. When you remove distractions, you come into the knowledge of yourself. That is my message. Know that you are worthy. Know that you are loved. Please like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, it's your girl, Aisha, signing off.